for City Beat, your source for all the latest news on the city of Thompson. Only on 102.9 CHTM, your radio station.
Good morning and welcome to City Beat here on 102.9 CHTM. My name is Stuart Walter and my guest this morning is Mayor Dennis Fenske.
Good morning.
Let's start off by talking about City Council. The Assistant Director of Public Works will be in Red Deer, Alberta from Monday until Thursday for Public Works Supervisory Training. This was a resolution before Council Monday and did receive a bit of pushback from a few councillors. What's the purpose of the training and why does the city have to send someone to Red Deer to get it?
Well, answering the second half first, basically the training that's provided isn't provided in Manitoba from that perspective. So it's a chance to meet with other frontline workers in regards to supervisory of public works, to see what other communities are practicing, best practices in regards to the operation of a community, and to provide the technical training of the workshops and the conference that's there. So again, it's available in Alberta. Manitoba doesn't have the training in place at this time, and so it's an opportunity to support our workforce in providing supervisory training in the public works area.
And then what is the training that's going to be happening?
So basically it's best practices in regards to whether it's waterworks or infrastructure, garbage collection, things like that, workforce management, things like that as well. And so it's basically the all-encompassing supervisor of a public works department in a community. And as again, there'll be others who are in the same position, so you'll get that sharing of knowledge from other communities of what works well in their communities, what doesn't work well. In some communities like ours, it's a unionized environment, so there's those things to deal with as well. And so it's just a good opportunity to share knowledge between public works supervisors.
Probably the most contentious and controversial resolution last Monday was a proposal to send the province a request to amend the Thompson Charter. Could you talk about what the proposed change is? Yeah,
and this is a very simple request, and it is simply to align the Thompson Charter, which established the City of Thompson in 1970, to align it with the legislation that's in the Municipal Act as it regarding the size of council. So every Manitoba community is, except the City of Winnipeg, is governed by the Municipal Act, and it determines the size of council, and I believe the number is a minimum of 5 and a maximum of 11. I'm not sure on the top end, but that's the range, and the individual community or council can decide that size. If there's going to be a change either up or down in the number of councillors, then a application has to be made to the province 6 months prior to any election. And so given that 2018 election year, given the current economic times that we're under, one of the considerations in budget deliberations, and it's been made public and we've talked about it, is the size of council, no different than the school district is talking about the size of trustees. And so in order to do that, we needed to align the two pieces of legislation, the Thompson Charter and the Municipal Act. So that's simply aligning the two so that the wording is the same, that it allows this council and future councils to dictate what the size of council should be given the circumstances of the time.
What's the process that has to be followed to change the charter?
So basically we would need a resolution passed, which we did. Then we would forward that resolution to the province of Manitoba, asking that our charter be amended. This is an act of legislation by order in council at the provincial level, so they would need to provide that change in legislation within our charter, and then update the charter and provide us with an amended copy.
Councillor Judy Collada asked why this change is needed now when council has changed size in the past without that. So could you explain why it's needed now?
Yes, in doing our due diligence in regards to asking the questions of the province, what does it take to make the changes? It was brought to our attention that previously council had decreased the size of council and then increased the size of council in absence of changing the charter, and the province of Manitoba suggested that we need to align that. It was an oversight that the province didn't catch in the last time, and that the city didn't ask. So now that both parties are privy to what the ask is and what the expectation is, this is why we're going through the process.
And finally, is there any deadline as to when you expect to hear back from the province on the issue?
Well, we have to be able to file with the province a change in the size of council 6 months prior, 180 days prior to the election. So that's our deadline. We need the charter changed prior to that, which basically says roughly by the end of April we need that decision made.
The check register for the city was once again a contentious issue, which passed by a narrow 4-3 margin as 2 councillors were not present at the meeting. What would have happened if councillors Wong, Matichuk, and Clatta had had their way and it had been defeated?
Actually, nothing. The check register, and this is an ongoing issue. We've talked about it at finance committee level. We talked it at council level. We talked about it in public. Basically, the check registers are presented to the finance committee on the Monday previous to a council meeting. They're reviewed by the committee. They're signed off by the members of that committee, and then go to the council for passage by resolution. Which in fact endorses the check register. But in actual fact, the checks have already been written. In some cases, they're already cashed. So whether the resolution was passed or defeated would be another issue. But in regards to the mechanics of the check registers, it's for information. Generally, we have a rule, an in-house rule of any check over $10,000 is explained at the finance committee level to anybody that has a question, and then subsequently we've asked councillors that if they do have other questions to submit those check register numbers to our city manager so that our city manager and CFO can do the due diligence, and when the question arises at council, they have an answer. And so it's very unfair to administration to have that week ahead of time to ask the questions, choose not to ask the question, and instead bring forth a question on a check register, and in some cases as little as $25, and expect administration to have an answer at that point in time, considering that we are dealing with hundreds of checks in a monthly basis.
Last week, you were in Winnipeg to meet with various provincial leaders. Could you talk about who you met with and what was discussed?
Sure. I met with Minister Wharton, Municipal Affairs, in regards to an outstanding issue with UCN and the province of Manitoba and the taxation and the deal that was struck between the city of Thompson and the province in regards to assessment and the taxation repayment for the infrastructure that was put in for the UCN. We're still at odds in regards to the amount that should be paid through taxation, and so that discussion is ongoing. I also met with the Leader of the Opposition, Wab Kinew, just to clarify his position on an announcement that him and Grand Chief Sheila North Wilson made in the public, in the paper, in regards to Churchill being a hub of the North for healthcare. Although I support Churchill in their need of ensuring that they have adequate health care, I want to be clear that Thompson is the regional hub for health care in Manitoba. In Thompson, in northern Manitoba, we have in excess of 75 beds in our hospital. We have in excess of 35 beds in our PCH. We have a number of doctors and specialists in our community. We have a clinic that's well staffed. We have many things that assist in providing health services in Thompson and the surrounding region, and I just wanted to ensure that it was clear that Thompson is the regional hub for healthcare in northern Manitoba, and that we support all other healthcare initiatives in other communities, but from a regional perspective, we are the regional center and the hub of the North.
The next regular meeting of council is Monday. What can the public expect at the meeting?
We have an agenda meeting yesterday, and so there's some housekeeping. We have some letters from ministers just in response to correspondence that I've sent down to them. We have some readings in regards to a lending bylaw, and as well as some informal resolutions. So it's a very light agenda. We also have inquiries that are always part of the beginning of the meeting, and we have a presentation from our management group for the wastewater treatment plant to provide an update as well.
Moving on to the most favorite topic of everybody during the winter season, snow removal.
Absolutely, and again, luckily we have had no additional snow in the last week or so, and so we are catching up, and it's again asking the citizens of Thompson for patience. We are doing our best in regards to the equipment that we have. We have experienced a number of water breaks at the same time, as well as we have contracted additional truck services from local contractors to assist us with hauling snow. Recognizing that there is an abundance of snow, as a newspaper reported last week, there's only been 4 years in the history of Thompson where we've had this much snow. And so recognizing that, there is a safety element in regards to the snow piles. I know out of your driveway can be a difficult task, but be sure that you are aware of your surroundings. Watch for kids walking on the street. Watch for other traffic. Ask for patience in your driving. It doesn't take more than 5 to 6 minutes to get anywhere in Thompson, so take the extra time and make sure that your travel is safe.
After the Mun Cup last weekend, it's not going to be anywhere near as busy, but there still is a few events going on.
It's kind of like the calm before the storm. This is, you say, it's going to be a busy place again at the TRCC, and Midget AA King Miners are starting their playoff against Cross Lake, and the North Stars wrap up the season this weekend against the Winnipeg Bruins. So it's a busy place. Come down and check it out. There's also the Women's Bonspiel at the Brentwood Curling Club that's happening as well. And then that's followed up with the big event, which is the Manitoba Games. And so we are a week and a couple days away from that. They will be arriving, 14 buses with 1,400 athletes will be arriving on Sunday, March 4th. And competition begins on the Monday, Tuesday, and part of Wednesday for Phase 1, and then the Phase 2 athletes arrive on Wednesday, and they'll complete their competitions on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and closing ceremonies on Saturday. So it'll be a whirlwind week. There's still opportunities to volunteer, and we would ask people to make themselves available through the volunteer process. You can go through Thompson.ca or through the Manitoba Games website as well. And we look forward for the City of Thompson, the community of Thompson, putting our best foot forward as we host Manitoba in hosting the largest provincial sport games in Manitoba.
Well, thank you so much for joining me this morning, Mayor Fenske.
Thank you.
If you have any questions you'd like answered next week, email them in advance to CHTMnews@arcticradio.ca. For City Beat here on 102.9 CHTM, I'm Stuart Walter.
City Beat will be back next Thursday morning.